Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Crista and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, I am so excited. You have heard the Crista and Annie show. You have heard the Crista and Jordan show. Today is the Crista and Nikki show. So if you have listened to the podcast for a while, you know that Nikki Nash is a repeat guest. She is back again today. I'm super excited. We're going to dive in and have some really interesting, juicy conversations around what's been shifting in marketing. Why are things that used to work no longer working and what is actually working? And if you have a big goal to be doubling your business in the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to talk about what it really takes to actually do that. So super excited to have you back on the show. Welcome, Nikki.
Thank you so much for having me back, Crista. I love being here. It's just puts a big old smile on my face.
Same. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about Miss Nikki, and then we are going to dive into all the good stuff. So Nikki Nash is the co-founder and CEO of the Wealth Builders Collective. She's an experienced business consultant, investor, and the best-selling author of Market Your Genius, which was published by Hay House. She has over 15 years of experience in marketing and branding, working with Fortune 100 companies and tech startups, and she is an expert in helping people communicate their value to their potential clients, land more dream clients, and build a profitable business that creates generational wealth. So let's dive in to marketing and why what we used to do is no longer working. And let's start our conversation there, because I don't know about you, but I know that is a really big pain point for a lot of the clients that I have been working with is why is this thing that was working just fine no longer actually converting? So what's going on?
Well, I think there's so many elements to this, but I think the first thing that people need to realize is that people aren't the same as they were 2, 3, 4 years ago, right? Like we've gone through a lot of emotional, maybe psychological changes from the pandemic to the economy to like all sorts of, big pieces of history that just happened over the last, 2, 3 years. And so what people are dealing with as a consumer, as a client is different, right? People may be a little bit more discerning or worried about money. They might be a little OD'd on consuming a lot of video content from certain folks, right? It just really depends on where your person is at right now. And I think doing things that worked, a few years ago won't necessarily work today. Or if it does work, it might not work at the same timeline that it's worked in the past because people are just a bit different now.
Yeah, it's true. I'm seeing that too, where it is a more elongated buyer journey. And especially the more high ticket an offer is, the less likely it is somebody's going to be more of a quick start. I'm still seeing quick starts, but not as many. And there being more value in having a smaller offer or a smaller way to experience your work to start with, where that wasn't always necessary in past years. Are you seeing that as well?
I am. And I think, in the last couple of years, especially when you think about during the pandemic, you could market something and focus. I love focusing on possibility and the dream. And people were very much like, yeah, screw the man or corporate or whatever. Not everybody was feeling that way, but a lot of folks were wanting a change in their life. And so if you were promising them a potential new dream, folks were like, yeah, I'm in. And, we were having stimulus checks in the US coming out and all this other stuff. So people felt a little bit more flush with cash. They were way more optimistic and they were ready to take the world by storm. And I think Now you have folks that are potentially worried about the economy. The cost of living has gone up significantly all over the darn place. There's just a lot going on. So people are more discerning when it comes to making buyer decisions. And where you'll see someone making quick decisions is when they're really in a massive need, right? Like when they're like, hey, like I'll give you an example. I just moved, as you know, from New Jersey to St. Petersburg, Florida, and I moved with nothing. So like, okay, all the furniture places and Target and like some of these other stores are like, I am throwing money at them because it's like, oh crap, I needed to make dinner and I have no pots or pans or, so I'm buying things, but because I see it as a need or a must have right now. There are other things where I'm like, I don't watch a lot of TV. I am delaying TV purchases. I'm like, I'll worry about it maybe on Black Friday. I don't care. But it's not a massive need for me. Whereas you think about it in terms of what you're selling, you might be marketing the right product to the wrong person right now. You might be seeing a elongated sales process, and it doesn't mean that it's going to shorten dramatically because you found the right person, but it should decrease if you find the person that truly needs what you have and knows that they need it, right? They know that there is a problem there, and I think sometimes it's doing a little shift and tweak in terms of who you're marketing to, who you're messaging to, who your person is, in order to shorten that cycle. And also just respect that it will likely, on average, take longer anyway right now.
Yeah, it's so true. And where I've seen people get really A, disappointed, and B, put themselves in a really rough cash flow perspective is when they have the same expectations of the buyer today as they had of the buyer a few years ago. They still expect to be able to put something out to a fairly cold audience and have a large number of people immediately convert. And they're banking on that for cash flow, and it's just not working that way. And so I think part of it is exactly what you said. It's kind of accepting or expecting, matching your expectations with what's actually happening while also dialing in the right offer for the right person with the right messaging and all of those elements.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's when you really think about it, the actions that you're taking today will likely not see a result. I'm not saying that it definitely won't, but you're more likely to see it in 90 days, 180 days, like significantly longer. And so you don't want to focus on the evidence that you see right in front of you right now to keep going. Because things are taking longer, you almost have to show up consistently, maybe even a little bit more than you normally would, and still see a delayed result. But when you look at your bank account in 3 months and 6 months and somewhere in between, you're like, oh, okay, things have turned around. Things are a bit more consistent, and you have to stay consistent with your actions, because when you take the foot off the gas, that's when you're going to start seeing some big cash flow challenges, some problems there. And so you want to really take the time to think about, okay, how can I set myself up for success as I look into the next quarter or next half of the year? I'm saying year, but it's not really the middle of the year. So you know what I mean? Like the next 6 months.
Yeah. And so I'd love to talk a little bit about some of the mistakes that you see people making, because I will say the number one big one that I see, which relates to what you just mentioned, is people doing more of a reactive pivot in their business. They're not recognizing what's really going on. And so they're thinking, well, this isn't selling anymore. And they're throwing out or completely reimagining the thing that they're known for, and then being shocked when the new thing that they put out there isn't converting right away. So I'm seeing a lot of people actually damage their business reputation, their branding, their business model by making these really big swings and reactive changes. I'd love to hear what you're seeing and what some of those mistakes are that people want to be really careful to avoid right now.
Yeah, I think to your point, some of the biggest mistakes are being reactive and taking action and making decisions from a state of fear or panic. Right? Like anytime you want to make a business decision, you want to be grounded. You want to be making it from a place of, yes, reality, but also from the future, right? Like you want to be making decisions looking, 1, 3, 5, 10 years out, depending on how far out you feel comfortable going. But you want to make decisions from that space, not from, oh my gosh, what's happening right now? And The reason that's so important is because when people are being reactive, they're doing things on, and I'll give a couple of examples. They're posting something online, it's not getting traction, they stop posting. They are selling something online, it's not selling, they stop selling that thing. They, look at their bank account and freak out and try to go like, all right, I'm just going to tell everybody that everything is on sale forever and just, do a little bit of the Macy's approach, right? Like Macy's has a sale every weekend, and every weekend it's the best sale ever, right? And so don't beat yourself up over these things if that's what you're doing, but just be aware and acknowledge it and say, okay, you know what? I was panicking a little bit and I was making some decisions from a place of panic. But the reality is that business is going to have ups and downs, and you're going to have turmoils and successes. That's just the state of business. It's life. It's just what happens. And so if you can go, okay, this too shall pass. So how can I make the most of it right now? How can I make strategic decisions so that I am set up for success now and not going to hit this roadblock again, right? So I think for folks that, and I know this isn't supposed to be like a financial conversation, but like if you're looking and you're like, I don't have an emergency fund for my business, I'm screwed. I don't have an emergency fund for myself, I'm screwed. I don't have, like, if you are looking and you're like, oh crap, I was living client to client in every aspect of my life, now is a really hard time to be living client to client. And so I'll speak to people who are like, ooh, should I take on a job or should I do something else? And the reality is like, you have to do what's best for you. But if you are going to take on something else, you want to make sure that you're doing it so that you can fund your emergency situation, right? Not to feel like flush with cash and go do things crazy, so that you can create stability in your business and in your life, really.
Yeah, that's so important. And I have had a lot of conversations with people where they're in this weird in between place and they're being forced to make those difficult decisions. Like, I wouldn't normally say yes to this client, or I wouldn't normally say yes to this opportunity, but right now I really need to. Is this a good decision? And I'd love to hear from your perspective, what makes one of those short-term decisions that sometimes we feel like we need to make a good one long-term versus something that's going to derail you long-term?
Yeah. I always like to make decisions from my future self, right? So I'll sit there and I'm like, all right, Nick, in 3 years, this is where you want your business to be. And where you are right now, here's the reality. And so if there is an opportunity to take on a client that feels a little off brand, or out of alignment with the goal, then you have to go, okay, is this something you really have to ask yourself the tough questions? How much time and energy is this going to take? Is this the only opportunity that's going to come to me? Am I literally so in such a state of desperation that this feels like the only option? And you just ask yourself some questions from an honest place and give yourself real talk, honest answers. I am naturally overly optimistic. I am like blissfully delusional about reality a lot of times. And, I personally try to stay away from taking on projects that aren't going to support my future vision, if it means front end marketing of it and doing all this other stuff, or it's going to take away a ton of time. Now, I've taken opportunities in the past where it's like, hey, it kind of fell in my lap. It works out really well. I'm going to do it for a short period of time. I know exactly what I'm going to do with the money so that I'm set up for success. And who knows, I could learn some new skills here or experience something, right? Like, I think those are some of the things that I would go through my mind. Is this an opportunity to learn something? Is this a way where I can expand and grow? Is this going to also solve a current financial problem or need I have? Those are some of the decisions that I like to make. If you make a decision, and this is all from the place of the decision, not the option, right? Like I spoke to someone yesterday who had an opportunity come in front of them, and they were saying, oh, this is This is literally like, I'm making a deal with the devil. Okay. Like if your mindset is you're making a deal with the devil, then there's no, like, whether you take the opportunity or not, you're not going to feel good about it. So it's like, just don't even entertain that thought because it's not powerful and it's not helpful. So I said, okay, take out of the equation the fact that this will solve money problems for a second. Would this opportunity, independent of the finances, provide you an opportunity to learn something? Will it provide you an opportunity to expand? Will it provide you an opportunity to meet people that would benefit your career? And when like you think about those sorts of things, then it's like, okay, there's value in this in addition to the money, and take it. Right. But you have to look beyond the money and seek out positive opportunities there. If you're like, this is going to be the worst client in the planet, I'm not going to be happy, I'm going to be depressed, and they're going to eat up all my time, then to me, there's no amount of, money that will be worth taking away my happiness.
Yeah, I agree fully. And I mean, the reality is we kind of get what we expect. So if you go into it with those expectations, you're probably going to have your expectations met.
Oh, 100%. Like it's like, depending on how people feel about laws, like universal laws and things like that, like that's a fact. Like you're going to get what you believe you are, who you believe you are, what you believe you should have, and what you believe is going to happen. Like that's going to be your reality. And so I said that to this person. I said, if you go in with, you're going to have a terrible experience, I promise you, you're going to prove yourself right. You're going to have a terrible experience. So it's either change your thoughts and your feelings around this opportunity or don't take it. Right.
Yeah, so true. I love that perspective. And I think that you gave some really good questions to be considering when looking at those things. Now, hopefully for those of you listening, you're in a great place in your business. I find it's kind of 50-50 with a lot of the clients and a lot of the people that I talk to. Some people are having a really great experience right now, but a lot are just in this really weird, what the blankety blank is going on and why aren't things working the way they used to? And now what do I do place? So if you're in one of those places, go back and re-listen to the questions that Nikki just asked. If you're faced with making one of those decisions where maybe it's not what you would do in the best of times, but is it the right decision now to help you get back to the best of times as things are shifting? So really, really great questions to reflect on there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you never know what the future holds. Like there was an opportunity that I took years ago that I took it because I said, this could be a really cool opportunity to learn something. Well, that opportunity, while I needed it for the money at the time, I can't remember how many years ago this was a while back, but I looked at it as an opportunity to grow and expand. And what ended up happening is that relationship that I built taking that opportunity has led to a ton of opportunities that still occur today. And there have been other times where I'm thinking like way long time ago where I've taken an opportunity just for the money. And it was an energetic drain. It had like, the only thing I learned was that I hated that opportunity. And it really wasn't there to help me grow and expand either as a person or in my skill set. So I'm a big believer is look at every opportunity as how can this help you expand? And if you can find opportunities for you to expand in the role or the opportunity, then it's worth taking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I have had both of those extremes as well in past decisions I've made. You look back and you're like, why did I knew not to say yes to this? And then other times you say yes to something and you're like, you know what? That was really unexpected and kind of magical. And I'm so happy I said yes because I never could have anticipated this happening. A connection that you make or something that you learned or an idea that sparks something completely different and new in your business. And so there is, usually we kind of know. I feel like our gut kind of knows if it's really the right decision or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last thing I'll say on this particular topic is give yourself permission to take an opportunity if you need to. I think oftentimes when I was going through this, I had so much shame and guilt. I'm like, I messed up my business. Like, can I really do the economy and all this other stuff? And I felt like I was taking a step back and I was really concerned because, I have a public facing brand And I felt a bit embarrassed, like, oh my gosh, I'm taking on opportunities that are out of alignment with what I want, while talking to people about how they should take opportunities in alignment with what they want. And I had to get honest and real with myself and honest and real with my audience and say, you know what, stuff happens. And sometimes you have to make hard decisions. But if you can make those hard decisions from a place of calm and, just true alignment with yourself, then you're not going to be going down the wrong path. And again, when I was able to do that, it led to something that has tremendously grown my business now, especially after I pivoted. Like those relationships that I made in that opportunity years ago has helped my business today. And I'm like, who knew? I would have not seen that coming at all. I thought it was a one-time deal. I was never going to do it again.
My very, very, very first job that I ever got is what led to the lean out method and what led to me doing what I'm doing today. And I thought I was just doing something I didn't want to do for a short period of time to pay off some college loans, right? So we never know the things that we say yes to, how it may reshape our business, our life, us as a person. I feel like there's sometimes a lot of magic and opportunities, even when they don't seem like opportunities when we're looking at them. So let's kind of pivot a little bit and talk about what about for those who are looking and saying, you know what, at this time next year or by, 18 months from now, I really want to have a business that's double what it is today. I really want to grow, or I'm in a place where I'm really trying to scale what I have. What are some of the things that people should be considering? And what are some of the things that other people aren't telling you when you're looking at doubling your business in the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that people kind of believe and are being told is that if you want to double your business, you need to think about doubling your front end marketing. You need way more leads. You need way more clients. It's basically 2x everything or 3x everything or 10x everything, right? And the reality is that the clients that I've helped double, whether it was going from $500,000 to $1 million to $2 million, $2 million to $5 million, 10 million to 20 million, like there are differences, but the biggest thing is that they were not just looking at front end marketing. And I'm a marketing person. I love marketing, but I believe that marketing isn't just front end. And I think a lot of people are taught that it's all about just getting leads and making magic happen there. But I always look at marketing and relationships as if it were, I guess the best illustration I could provide is kind of like a bucket, right? Or if you're in a boat and if you poke some holes in it, it doesn't matter how much you put in at the top, water is going to keep coming out, right? Especially with the bucket analogy. Or if it's in a boat, no matter how much water you try to get out, you're still going to sink because, you have holes in the bottom of the boat. And so the things that I encourage people to think about and look at is every aspect of their current marketing. I'm going to say a word I hate, and then I'm going to say why I said it, funnel. And the reason why I hate the word funnel is because now a lot of people think funnels are like very tactical webinars to this, or it's like moving people through email sequences. And all a funnel is traditionally in like OG marketing is really just looking at the elements of the customer journey and where people are and what they're doing at each stage. And so if you look at the front end, you're bringing leads in. Okay, that's great. Are you having as many or prospects, right? You're getting in front of people. What percentage of the people you're getting in front of actually decide to give you their contact information? Right? You could optimize that. You improve that, then you don't need as many people coming in the front. Okay. Right. Then from there, how many of the people that are coming in and giving you their contact information actually stay connected to you and ultimately buy from you? If you don't have great sales conversion rates, then you can optimize there. Okay, great. Most people stop there and they're just looking at that part of the funnel. But if you keep looking and you go, how many people after they've completed their first program are buying the next one, are staying in my ecosystem, right? If you increase the percentage of people that stay with you, your business is going to grow. If you ask yourself what percentage of the people that become clients actually refer other people to us, so many people, the answer is like none or very little, right? You get more of your people to refer you bam, suddenly you are growing your business. And the other place is that if you're looking at people that went through and didn't buy again and kind of left, what percentage of people are you actually remarketing to and reactivating? Like how many past clients or alumni are you reactivating? And when people start looking at client referrals, client retention, and client reactivations, they can start seeing so many opportunities to make small tweaks and see tremendous business growth. And so often I think the lies that people are told or believe is that it's all about the front end. It's like, oh, I'm going to have to spend more in ads, or I'm going to have to start doing ads, or I'm going to have to go all over the country talking to people or do something. And it's all about how do I get more people to know who I am and see who I am and buy my thing from the front end. But the back end is really about creating that invisible marketing engine in your business where it's like not everybody's seeing it. It's not front facing. It's all in the back end. And it comes down to, are you delivering upon the promise that you marketed to your clients in the first place? Are you creating that expectation that they can continue working with you beyond this first program or engagement? And are you delivering a freaking fabulous experience, so much so that they want to tell everybody and their mother about it? They want to keep working with you. And if they leave, they're willing to come back. And so you really want to look at I call them the 3 R's. It's our invisible marketing method with my business partner, but we're really looking at how are you looking at your reactivations, your retention, and your referrals.
You know, I love a good method, but what I love even better than a good method is one with a super sexy name, like the invisible marketing method. Brilliant. Amazing. All right. So tell people more about your work. Tell people more about what you do, what you've got coming up, where they can find you if they want to dive into all things Nikki Nash, which they should.
Yeah. So probably just because they're here listening, one of the best things you can do is listen to my podcast. It's called Market Your Genius. I have Crista on the show multiple times, so you can listen to us geek out over all sorts of things. But on the show is really where I dive into helping folks really look at how can you grow your business. And one of the things we didn't talk about is team, but I know that you've got their back when it comes to team and operations, but that's kind of the other area outside of marketing and client success. You're looking at team and operations, and those are kind of the 3 areas you want to look at when you're doubling your business. But talk all about that on my podcast. I also have coming up with my business partner, we're doing a free training, really diving deep into the invisible marketing method and how people can install that into their business. So if you head to invisiblemaritingmethod.com, you'll be able to sign up and get that training and information there, or hopefully join us live. And in terms of what the heck I do, I mentioned I have a business partner. We're consultants. We have a boutique consulting firm. My jam is all things marketing and client acquisition. Her jam is all things client success. And then where we kind of jam out together again is on the going all the way through to reactivations, retention, and referrals and client referrals. So really helping people build their strategies, game plans, and then we offer done for you and done with team solutions.
Brilliant. Absolutely love it. And of course, all those links will be down below in the show notes. So feel free to check out and join Nikki for her training and just check out all the amazing things that she has, including her book, which is quite excellent. I know you didn't mention the book. Is there a URL for that one? Because it's good.
Thank you. My bad. It's called Market Your Genius, same as my podcast. And it is. It's. I'm very proud of that book.
Excellent. All right. So I've asked you this every time you've been on the podcast. I want to see how your answer has evolved and what's currently working for you. But how do you work smarter, not harder, and keep things lean in your business?
Yeah. So my answer has probably definitely changed since the last time. But smarter, not harder for me today means I spend more time thinking before I do. And oftentimes people are like, oh, are you strategizing and stuff like that? I'm like, yes and no. Like I like planning. I need to have a plan before I take action, but I'm also thinking about how I'm going to feel when I accomplish my results. I think about how I'm going to feel before each action. So before this podcast episode, for example, I'm like, how do I want to feel while I'm hanging out with Crista? How do I want to feel throughout the episode and when I'm done? And I think about all of that, and then I start feeling that way before I take the action. I really think about my thoughts before I take action, because one of the things that I believe to be true and have seen to be true is that the way you are seeing yourself and the thoughts and beliefs that you have impact your actions, and your feelings impact your actions. Like if something feels like a dread, you're not going to jump up and go do it. But if it feels exciting, you're like, oh, heck yeah. So the long-winded answer to my smarter, not harder response is I spend more time prepping both strategically what I'm going to do and energetically before I take action. And that's been a big game changer for me.
I love it. Absolutely. All right. We are unfortunately rounding out the episode. I feel like we could just talk for days. But any final tips for people if they're looking ahead and looking at really growing their business going into the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah. The thing I would say is really look at your performance, your numbers, right? So really take a moment, carve out some time. If you hate doing it, find a buddy, call Crista, call somebody, call me, like sit down and look at it and really look at, okay, what products are the most profitable? What products are selling the best right now? What is working in our marketing? What do you enjoy? Like really take the time to look at what is working right now, because when you have that information, you're more equipped to make stronger decisions. When you sit down and you're like, oh, nothing's working, I hate this, that's when you're more likely to just make decisions that are based on emotion. And I'm a very feeling, emotional person. But when I'm making business decisions, especially when I think, okay, I would like this business to exist when I'm no longer either here on this planet or quite frankly, no longer want this to be where I'm spending my time. I want to make sure that the business is able to move forward because it's made sound business decisions, not tied to my emotional state. So if you haven't taken the time already, like do a debrief on the last quarter, do a debrief on the year to date, like really sit down, look at and analyze what's working, what's not working, what's selling, what's not selling. Where are you spending your time, energy, and money, and where could it be more effective? And look at your team and how they're performing as well, and then make some decisions.
Excellent. All right. With that mic drop, we will wrap up this episode. Nikki, thank you so much for being on. I know you'll be back again. We're just going to keep doing this multiple times throughout the year because you always share so much incredible value and so much wisdom with the audience. So thank you for being here. Everyone, I hope that you enjoyed this episode and our chat as much as I did. We will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.